Okay, so I'm gonna preface this by saying that I felt like shit this week, and I'm unofficially diagnosed as suffering from endometriosis, and so I was dying.
Aw, poor baby.
But anyways, the point of this video is I'm making a birthday cake for one of my best friends. She's turning 27, and I saw this adorable little cake of basically a unicorn that's so stuffed with cake that you pass out, but she loves pugs, so we're gonna make her a pug version of that cake. So woman down. It's okay. Regroup. Take a moment. Gather yourself. We'll try again. Take two. So the day before I actually baked the cake and I didn't have the energy to continue. So on this day, what I had left to do was ice the cake, and it wasn't going anywhere. Initially I made it too thick. I didn't have enough ingredients to restart, so I microwaved it to make it soft enough to spread. Initially I wanted this to be the only amount of icing or frosting, whatever you want to call it, to be on the cake because she actually doesn't like frosting.
But I mean, look at that.
So I decided that this would be the crumb coat, and while I popped that in the fridge, I went ahead and made another batch of icing with my remaining ingredients. And this actually allowed me to fix the color too, because I found the pink originally was a little too orange and this was more of a birthday pink, if you will. So this consistency was way better for smoothing out. The coverage was much better. See, it allowed me to have like a better finish. It's not amazing, but I just, given the energy that I had, I was very happy with the result. Next, I wanted to make modeling chocolate, and down again. So I melted down some chocolate and added some corn syrup. You can find the recipes online everywhere. And this is what I was going to make the pug out of. So what you need is a tan color, some brown, some pink. And I realized that mine was crumbling. It wasn't sticking together and I restart, so I gave up on that and it was time for plan B.
Why aren't you working?
Fondant. So what I did here is I grabbed some pieces and mixed in the colors I needed. So I made a tan color, a pink color, a brown color, and a dark brown color. So first I rolled out a head shape, just a sphere. Next I rolled out a bigger piece and made it a potato shape, and I combined them together. I was leaning it on the food coloring because I wanted him to be leaning on the cake, but then I decided it was fine if he was laying down. I didn't like the seam between the head and the body, so I mushed them together and just manually molded the body into that shape. Next I made the leg. That's a little too high, so I'm going to bring it back down. Then I rolled out some little brown balls. You have to let them set before you move on to shaping them because they get too sticky and then you can't really shape them into anything. So with these three little balls I made the muzzle shape. I just squished them into like little pancakes. Then I shaped the tongue and stuck it under the two top circles. I put these because all of my references had these like brown circles where the eyeballs were. So I was trying to do that, but it really wasn't working. So yeah, we're going off route. We're just not gonna do that. I'm just gonna fix that little horn there. So what I did next for the face wrinkles was I rolled out a very thin noodle of the tan fondant. I cut this in half. Again, I was going to try to follow the reference picture, but it looked a little weird. So instead, I just used that one strand, made a V, and then turned that into like a lazy M. Yeah, that's much better. And then I'm doing that again for the second row of wrinkles and cutting the excess off of the sides. Next is a little nose, so I just rolled a little tiny, oh no, that's wrong. That's actually the eyes. I rolled out a little brown sausage and cut that in half. And then I'm just gonna roll out the end that got smushed during the cutting process, and with little like half circles, I'm making the eyes. That one wasn't sticking, so I'm just gonna let it set for a little bit, and now's the nose. So I rolled a little circle for that, and then with a chopstick I made a little divot so the nose could fit in the face. With a toothpick I made those little pores, I don't know what they're called, in the muzzle. And then I made another sausage roll for the other leg. I'm gonna let that set before I stick it to the body. Now I'm going to move on to the arm, and that's a thick arm. So I just mushed it back into a little ball. And now I'm sticking the missing leg, and it made the other leg look too small, and I preferred the second leg, so I'm gonna restart on the first one. Go back to the arm, and I decided it was enough to make 2 arms, so I'm gonna roll it out into a longer, thinner circle and cut it in half. And one arm's gonna be sprawled out to the side. He's just passed out, you know, he had so much cake. And now I'm making these little toe beans out of the pink. Oh, the other eyeball. Yeah, there was only room for 3. The fourth one looked a little weird. So the other arm I'm gonna put across his stomach because when you're full, you tend to hold your stomach.
Have you learned your lesson? No.
And then I decided he could use a little belly button. I know it's anatomically incorrect,
but
We're going for cute here.
so I rolled out a thin piece of tan, cut a little piece, a short piece, rolled it a little bit, and then folded it into a belly button. I'm just gonna let it set before I try to stick it to the body. And back onto the second leg. It's not, so we're gonna try that again. I'm gonna roll it into a little sausage and let it set. Now back to the belly button. It wasn't sticking, so I went to go get some water, and that worked a lot better. Now I'm rolling out some 2 dark brown spheres in preparation for the ears. Again, I'm gonna let that set before I form them into the ear shape. So now we're gonna turn this stump into an actual paw. So with a knife, I separated it into the little toes. They came out a little too long here. They looked more like fingers, which was creepy, so I squished them with a blade. And now for this leg. I was getting really frustrated with this leg. It just wasn't cooperating, but you know, finally we got it. That looks pretty good. It's actually a little small now that I'm looking at it, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's done. It worked. So back to the ears. Now I'm just mushing them into a little triangle shaped. The little swirls were bothering me, but I wasn't able to. I tried and I couldn't rub them out. I tried getting rid of them, but nothing was working. Then back to the nose, I decided that it would be cute if he had some little nostrils. So now that he can smell the cake, we're going to make sure that he can hear anyone about to catch him in the act. So we're going to stick that ear there. And then I was about to put the other one, and I decided that the swirls it was really bothering me. I didn't like it, so I tried one more time to roll them out. And then I realized that he looked too happy for someone who had that much cake. So I realized that his eyes were upside down. So I flipped them the other way to make it look like he was sleeping rather than really happy with himself. Okay, and then I realized that he was a little stuck to the table, so I tried to pry him, but because the blade was at an angle, it kind of shredded his back a little bit, but anyway, I managed to get him off. I realized I should have put him on some parchment paper before I started this, but you know, better late than never. Oh, his arm just popped off. He got a little dented during the transportation, so I just had to kind of just move him back into shape. Now it's time for his second ear. Like I said, it's really sticky when you're playing with it, so it was a bit more challenging than the other ear, but we got it. I got a little bit of water to complete the arm implant and to smooth out a little bit of his stomach. So back to the cake, it was left to decorate it. I made some brown frosting, and again, it was too runny. You can see it like melting under the lights. I mean, sprinkles will help that, right? It's fine. So now it's time to gouge out the part of the cake that the dog supposedly ate. I just realized this was a chocolate cake that this dog supposedly ate. Moving on. And then you place the pug in that area. I put some crumbs around him and a little sprinkle on his tongue to show the evidence. Added some chocolate to his paw because he was caught chocolate pawed. Chocolate handed? Whatever. And this is the final result. Given my physical condition, I'm really happy with this cake. I think the only thing that I wish was better is that I wish that the icing had held its shape, the brown swirlies. But all in all, I think it was a wonderful success, and she loved the cake, and I'm really happy with it too. I'm actually currently working on preserving this little guy forever, so please come back in the next few days and check out how I did that.
Happy birthday to you. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday Are you happy? Is it
Yeah,
cute?
I love this. This is adorable.
Thanks for watching. Bye.